What's up, it's Resonance, and finally I am back with a new video. Today we are talking about directional air roll and aerial car control. This video is for Rocket League players that just started out learning about directional air roll, as well as players that can already fly around using directional air roll but are interested in tips on how to get even better control in the air. I hope you like this and you can take something away from this. Let's get into it. Why should you bind directional air roll? So you need it if you want to do flashy mechanics like the breezy flick. Also, you're more unpredictable in the air. And when you set up for an air dribble or a flip reset and your setup isn't ideal, you can get into the right position more efficiently with a tornado spin because you combine two rotations in one. Also, you're not really replacing your regular air roll. For minor rotations, for example wave dashes, air roll shots, and during the speed flip, for example, I still use my normal air roll. First of all, you have to make the decision if you want to bind air roll right or air roll left and where you want to bind it. I personally have air roll right bound on my right bumper, so RB if you have an Xbox controller or R1 if you play with a PlayStation controller, because this is the most convenient for me, just because of where I have my other controls bound. Here you can see the rest of my bindings. As long as you can press jump, boost and your directional air roll button at the same time, it should be fine though. Alright, so how do you actually do this? When you hold directional air roll without touching your left joystick, your car just spins around without changing direction. When I learned air roll right, I always try to realize when I see the hood of my car. When you hold air roll right and push your stick forward right as you see the hood of your car will lean forward, and depending on how long you push your stick forward, it will also lean your car to the left. The reason for that is, imagine you're facing left and you push your stick forward, you will lean to the left side, easy. So that's the same thing that happens here, just that it always happens right in the moment because you're constantly spinning. So when you see the hood of your car and move your stick back, it will lean your car back and eventually it will lean your car to the right. So it's just the opposite. And when you see the hood of your car and you push the stick to the left, you will turn left instantly, but eventually you will kind of tilt your car backwards. And when you push your stick to the right, when you see the hood, it will first turn you to the right, but if you keep holding it, your car will angle more to the front. I would recommend trying all that out in free play and then keep holding the stick in one direction to see in what way you turn. And once you figure that out, I would recommend going into a rings map, hold down your directional air roll button the whole time. And I know it's going to be tough at first, but if you go slow and feather your boost and start with small adjustments, you should eventually make some progress. As you get more comfortable, try to make sharper turns and increase your speed by using more boost. If you grind the rings map every day between like 10 to 20 minutes, you should see improvements very quickly. Don't be afraid to mess up, because that's how you improve. Try to notice what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. That makes you go into the right direction quicker. So let's get into some tips for advanced players. So previously I told you how I learned, how I started learning air roll right. But after I've practiced for a couple of weeks like that, I watched a video by Squishy which kind of opened my eyes. In that video, he showed which ways of air rolls are the most useful and in what situation. And in that moment, I figured out that most of the time, I conditioned myself to pretty much only use the air roll where I hold the stick to the left and the air roll where I hold the stick back. The air roll where you hold the stick forward, I sometimes use, but the one where you hold the stick to the right, I almost never used. So what air roll should you use in what situation? So this air roll, the one where you hold the stick to the left, is useful when you have to correct your car when you air dribble and your setup isn't ideal. Also, that's the air roll you have to do at the beginning of a breezy flick. It can also be helpful when you want to get some distance to the ball when you try to read the back wall during the double touch. So the next air roll, the one where you push the stick forward, is good for air dribbling. And this air roll, the one where you hold the stick back, I don't really use for any specific mechanic, but rather when I want to change direction mid-air. And this air roll, the last one, where you hold the stick to the right, is useful for flip resets. Still, I'm not very good at them, but air rolling like that definitely makes it easier for me. This air roll is also the one that I'm the least comfortable with. So if you want to be able to benefit from using air roll right or air roll left, besides looking cool, I would recommend practicing each one of those air rolls that I talked about. I do that by using only one kind of air roll and not the others, as you can see here. That forces me to use that specific kind of air roll in a situation that I usually wouldn't use it in, which makes me more flexible in the air eventually. You can do like a minute with each air roll and then switch between them. Another thing I noticed after practicing air roll right for a while was that I just held air roll right constantly, even though it's not very efficient to do in a specific situation. For example, when you have a lot of momentum in one direction and want to go into the opposite direction, it doesn't make sense at all to hold air roll during that turn. It is way quicker to just push the stick in whatever direction you want to turn and do a 180 without holding air roll. Also, imagine you are air dribbling and you hit the sweet spot and all you have to do is just push the ball in a certain direction, but then you feel like you have to air roll and then you lose control and don't get the goal. That feeling really sucks and it doesn't make you a better player, so don't feel like you have to hold air roll throughout every aerial play. When you are aligned properly, just stop air rolling. The last tip I can give you is to always make your practice drills harder as you get better. Try to hold boost as long as you can, even the whole time if you get there, while freestyling through a rings map. It is very rewarding when you zoom through a level of your favorite aerial map while looking smooth, so give that a try as well. Thank you for watching, and if this tutorial was helpful to you, give this video a like and maybe check out my other Rocket League videos. And if you like those too, you should probably subscribe to my channel because then you won't miss any of my future uploads. Also, I'm always happy to reply to comments, so feel free to give me feedback or ask me anything in the comment section. I hope I'll see you in the next video, but until then, have a good one and take care.